Austrian Grand Prix is fast approaching, so let's hear chat about the team which the circuit Formula 1 races at in Austria is named after. Red Bull. Yep, we're speaking Red Bull today. I've done Ferrari, I've done Mercedes, and I've done Aston Martin. It's time for Red Bull to be the topic of conversation because they're at this moment in time pretty untouchable. Okay, Verstappen is, but you get my point. Red Bull have been flying, not just this year, but really since the start of the European season last year when Ferrari started making their way up shit creek without the paddle. Put it this way, for Imola last year, Red Bull have won 24 of the 27 races that took place. They only lost out on the win at Silverstone in Austria last year when Ferrari somewhat found the paddle for 2 weekends. I specify somewhat because there were still problems those weekends. And then in Brazil when Mercedes turned up while Max was busy being salty and not letting his teammate back pass him for like 6th place or whatever it was. But last year, despite the slow start with a few teething issues when the cars noped out on the drivers 3 times in the first 3 races, they dominated the rest of the season. And this year they've somehow found a way to be even more dominant. Pole position every single weekend apart from Baku. They've won every single race so far this year. And though a total possibility of 16 podiums the team could have achieved so far, they've had 12, with the only non-double podium finishes coming in Australia when Checo binned it in Q1 and recovered to P5, Monaco when Checo binned it in Q1 again and had a race to forget, Barcelona when Checo drowned in Q2 and came back to P4, and then Canada when Checo again drowned in Q2 and could only manage P6. In terms of pace, well, the gap between the winning Red Bull to the first non-Red Bull car at the end of the races, apart from Australia and also Canada, has been somewhere in the region of 20 to 30 seconds or so. They've been untouchable. And the best way I think that shows their advantage in pace they've had has been this moment here in Baku when Max Verstappen takes the lead after Charles Leclerc. The gap in speed between the Red Bull and the Ferrari was 30 kilometers an hour. Even for the car behind to head DRS, a speed advantage of 30 kilometers an hour to the car ahead with no DRS is nuts. The car is a beast, and I gotta give credit where it's due to the team. Coming into this year, a lot of us were wondering how their wind tunnel and CFD reduction penalty was going to affect them, but I haven't really seen any effect on them, which I suppose is credit to Adrian Newey and the team on designing and building such a beast of a car at its base. Even as a track where they seemed to be not as good, i.e. Canada, they still had an advantage over the rest of the field and won by 10 seconds. If Canada really was them on a bad track toward it one way, then Jesus Christ, Red Bull, you can get away with slowing down a period bit, is all I'll say. There is also other factors in play here, that as well as having a top class car, they also have a top class talent in Max Verstappen, as I kind of alluded to at the beginning, who only seems to get quicker and quicker. The guy can win or finish on the podium at the very least from basically anywhere on the grid. Starting P10 in Hungary, no problem, he'll win. Starting P14 with grid penalties in Spa, no problem, he'll win. Starting P9 in Miami, no problem, he'll win. With a lead of 69 points in the championship, he doesn't really need to grow the gap anymore. All he needs to do is maintain the gap and he can wrap it up with a couple of races to spare easily. He is only 10 or so points away from being able to DNF 3 Grand Prix in a row and come out of it still leading the championship. The guy is on a run of 3 consecutive races leading every single lap. He took the lead on lap whatever it was in Miami, it was around about 47, hasn't lost the lead since. 224 laps in a row that he's led. That is astounding. And it shows the huge talent that he is along with having the car he has, which is a rocket ship. And one small add-on here about that laps led thing. This weekend in Austria, Max Verstappen could possibly break one of, if not the oldest record in F1. That is the record for the most consecutive laps in the lead of a race. As I said, he's currently on a run of having led the last 224 laps in a row. We have a sprint race in Austria, which is 24 laps, and then we have a Grand Prix, which is 71 laps. Now, if he leads every single lap of the sprint race, and then leads at least the first 57 laps of the race, the main race, he will reach 305 laps consecutively leading. That will be one more lap than the current record for the most laps led, which is held by Alberto Ascari, who set the record 70 years ago. Madness. that Verstappen could potentially break that record this weekend. Although, as a side note, I do have to wonder how long Max Verstappen is gonna hang around for. Because the other day, this pulled up on the timeline that Max Verstappen said that apparently winning championships is getting too repetitive for him. Now that I've won a championship, it's nice to win another one, but basically it's the same thing, so it's not something that will keep me here forever. The guy's suffering from success, it seems. Although it is a question, how long will he hang around? I mean, I have a bit of a common thought that his current contract that runs out in the end of 2028 will be his last. I do not see him sticking around in Formula 1 beyond the end of 2028. And if you think about it, by the time that comes, in 2028, that'll be his, what, 13th season in Formula 1 or something like that? By the time his contract ends, he will have been in Formula 1 for quite a while. It wouldn't be totally strange to think he would back out of Formula 1 racing at that point. Interesting to see how long Max Verstappen sticks around. Then there is his teammate Sergio Perez in the other Red Bull car, who I will say new is no slouch. He has his moments, he's a freaking wizard on the street tracks. And I will reiterate something else that we all can, that being Verstappen's teammate is not easy. We've seen that before with Gasly and Albon, both of whom have been doing great since losing their seats at Red Bull, might I add. But yes, Checo canes who to get pole positions, he canes how to win races and finish on the podium. And since he joined the Red Bull team, he has shown that he's a damn good wingman. But he's not on the level of Verstappen. But despite that, as I said in my Canada review, we all thought that at the start of the season that Perez could put up a title fight to Max. He was probably thinking that as well. But now that's fallen apart with mistakes and bad qualifying, affecting his results. He'd go on to get in the races. And at this point in time, his aim has to be to do what the second Red Bull driver has never managed to do when the first one wins the championship, and that is finish second in the Drivers' Championship. Pretty crazy. 6 drivers' titles, yet they've never had a 1-2 in the championship. And I will say that while yes, Perez is not on his teammate's level, it is still pretty surprising that he's this far behind him. Kind of more early in the season as well, and under threat from a guy in a slower car. Okay, that guy is Fernando Alonso, who somehow dragged the F2012 into a last round title decider 11 years ago, but still. Given the car Red Bull have, I'd have still expected him to be closer in the standings than he is. Anyways, could other teams get closer and steal a win or two for them later this year? Yes, they can and probably will, because as I said in my Mercedes video recently, despite how untouchable Red Bull seem right now, there is no way on hell's earth that Red Bull will win all 22 races this year. Aston, Mercedes and Ferrari will be bringing upgrades and trying to get closer to them. All 3 of them have brought their first big packages of the year new, and I think Ferrari are due to be bringing more upgrades in Austria as well. I'm not too sure on Mercedes and Aston, but right now Red Bull are in a class of their own. What's your thoughts on Red Bull right now? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.